Hello everybody and welcome back to more political chatter. In this video we will be talking about the current state of the Democratic primary for President of the United States and Joe Biden's current position in it and how he's definitely looking to be the Democratic nominee for president. So this primary kicked off with Marianne Williamson's announcement back in, I don't know, April maybe if I had to guess. Oh, doesn't it say on this table? March, actually. So she was one of the first candidates of any party to announce. She announced in very early March of last year, 2023. I should then go to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He then announced for president on April 19th, bit later, more than a month later. And it was then right after he announced that we were starting to get these polls that showed Marianne Williamson at 10, 11, 12%, and Kennedy in some cases above 20%. So they were getting over 30% combined. And this set off some alarms. People were really shocked at both of these people's performance in this primary. I mean, against an incumbent president, that is unheard of. Then, a bit after Kennedy, Joe Biden announces on April 25th the poll numbers for Williamson and Kennedy continue. But then they halt. You can see here Kennedy began at 20%. Marianne is at about, it's like at 10% probably. It doesn't say a number though. But as you can see, it just remains stagnant. I mean, it only decreases, really, for both of them. They don't really get anywhere. They started off so well, and they had so much hope in their campaigns. I mean, when both these candidates first announced, they were pulling huge, massive crowds when they spoke at events, packed houses. But it began to fall, or their poll numbers began to fall short. I mean, they were not getting anywhere in this primary campaign. And then you move on to, don't know why I started there, to October 9th, and Kennedy drops out of the Democratic primary. That just leaves Biden and Williamson. Even though he was the second place contender, he was at 15%. I mean, he started at 20%, and then on average, he ended at under 15%. So he dropped out of the Democratic primary, ran as an independent. And then you come to October 26th, and a U.S. representative from Minnesota named Dean Phillips, there was a lot of talk about him running. People were saying that he was meeting with donors about a potential bid against Biden. He shockingly announces a bid in New Hampshire. So Dean Phillips is now in the race as a congressman, but he has been in the race for a few months now, and Dean Phillips has not been able to get anywhere. He has made no growth. He has actually only decreased a little bit, and today he's only at 3.1% nationwide, while Marianne Williamson is at 7.9%, and Joe Biden is at 68.9%, a 61% lead. So I did make videos when the primary first began, when Kennedy announced, and the polls were showing Williamson and Kennedy at a combined 30%, more than half of Biden's number, of Biden's support. It looked like it could be competitive. Not necessarily that Kennedy would end up, or Williamson would end up as the nominee, but more so the fact that something might actually come out of this primary, and it could result in Biden dropping out and letting another Democrat assume the nomination, like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or Josh Shapiro, more younger, more popular figures who have a brighter future and more electable Democrats who will certainly beat Donald Trump, while Joe Biden is probably going to lose to Trump at this point. But that is just not the case. And I did want to make this video as an update on this primary because I haven't in a while. Because Joe Biden has just gotten this enormous lead in this primary right now. And it is now essentially over. So we have three candidates, as I said right now, Biden, Phillips, Williamson. And as I said, it is essentially over. And Phillips and Williamson have gotten some attention. I mean, Dean Phillips especially, because he is a congressman challenging his party's president. That is unheard of, but he makes the argument that Biden is a good president, but he will lose to Donald Trump, so someone must primary him. A Democrat absolutely must primary him if we don't want 4 more years of Donald Trump. However, the DNC is not playing fair. The DNC is absolutely just throwing all of their support behind Joe Biden. And in early December, there was lots of controversy, and this has spread to 4 states now, where the state Democratic Party in Florida only put Joe Biden's name on the ballot for the primary. They are not even recognizing that Marianne Williamson or Dean Phillips even exist. Many, even insiders, even establishment figures, are calling this undemocratic, and that anyone who qualifies should be given the right to be on the ballot. They shouldn't just assume Biden will be the nominee. This has now happened in North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida. There was one other state that I can't remember, and then they tried to do it in Massachusetts, but the Secretary of State literally had to intervene with the state Democratic Party, even though he is a Democrat, and had to order the names of Phillips and Williamson, and probably others, to be on the ballot as well. So they have gotten some attention there, and really their only hope in this primary comes from the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a little bit interesting. A little. So the DNC was also in the news, not just because of this, but earlier this year they changed the calendar, the schedule of the Democratic primaries. Obviously, the order used to go Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, then Super Tuesday. But the DNC, for the first time ever, changed. They went against literally a New Hampshire state law, and they just, well, whatever, we'll get to this. But they put South Carolina first, and then New Hampshire second, I believe. And then Nevada, and then Michigan, and then Georgia, and then Super Tuesday, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe I'm not. But something like that, something with those 5 states or whatever. So they say it was so that there could be more diversity in the early primary states, to represent the Democratic Party more than New Hampshire does by putting South Carolina first. But some, aka Phillips, Williamson, and Kennedy, when he was in the race, say this is undemocratic, just a way to secure this party nomination for Joe Biden. However, because New Hampshire is so cool, they don't even care. Even the Democratic Party there doesn't care what the DNC says, and they're going against the DNC and holding a primary first on January 22nd. I'm going to the primary, actually. I will let you all know who I see there and who I hear speak. But they are holding their primary first despite what the DNC says. Now, what happens next? Well, the DNC has punished the Democratic Party of New Hampshire by removing all of their state delegates to the convention. So they have 0 convention power at the convention. Additionally, Biden also is not in favor of them, obviously, going against the DNC rules. So Joe Biden is not running in the New Hampshire primary. It might, he says it's because of that, but it might honestly be more so the fact that he does not want an embarrassment in New Hampshire. If you go back to 1968, Lyndon B. Johnson, the incumbent president, was running for re-election. Well, Eugene McCarthy, a senator from Minnesota, senator from Minnesota, Dean Phillips is from Minnesota, came within like 5% of beating Johnson in New Hampshire. And this embarrassed Johnson so much, and it was just such a bad look for his campaign, so bad that he, in fact, withdrew his name, and his vice president, Hubert Humphrey, ended up winning that nomination in 1968. So I think that Dean Phillips is going for something like that here to embarrass Biden so bad in New Hampshire to show the country how much voters, how much even Democrats in New Hampshire don't want Joe Biden. And I think he hopes that it would result in Biden dropping out and another Democrat, whether it's him or someone else, winning the nomination. So I think that Biden, by not being on the ballot, and they're trying to get him to win as a write-in, but by him not being on the ballot, I think it's more so that he wants to escape embarrassment, because now if he loses, first of all, it doesn't even matter at the convention, since whoever wins New Hampshire won't even win any delegates now from the state. But if it were to be close, if he were on the ballot, that'd be a big embarrassment. But now, if he's not on the ballot, and someone else does win, which is now more likely, it doesn't make him look bad, because how could he have won if he wasn't on the ballot, right? Well, there is a write-in Biden campaign from New Hampshire establishment Democrats. Even though they're going against what the DNC says, that does not mean that they are supporting Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson. They are supporting a write-in campaign for him. He has not officially endorsed it, but that is what is leading the polls, so it is extremely important. So, according to polls in New Hampshire, the most recent one from a New Hampshire poll, which, when they're from the state, they're always better, has Biden at 38%. Not a strong performance, I'll tell you that, and we'll get to why he'll get even less than that in a second. Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips are tied at 7% each. Not good performances. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as a write-in candidate, haven't seen that before, is at 1%. Other is at 8%. I have no idea where this 8% is being distributed among, I don't know, I mean maybe like Firm and Supreme. And then 39% undecided in this poll, which actually is more than any other candidate. So undecided is currently leading in the Democratic primary with just 3 weeks to go. Less. With less than 3 weeks to go, undecided still leads. So there is hope for the Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson campaign. Looking at other polls, a better sign for Biden. 51% for Biden, 17% for Dean Phillips. That's a much better result for him. That's one that he's hoping for. Marianne Williamson at just 6%, other at 3%, undecided at 23%. So obviously that's a better showing for Biden. That's more of what he wants. St. Anselm, I definitely trust this one. 50% for Biden, Phillips 10%, Marianne 7%, other for 29% undecided. I would have to agree with this one most, and it's not good for Phillips or Williamson. So I just went through those 3 polls. You kind of get the idea. Even as a write-in, Joe Biden leads in these polls. However, I would argue that Biden will not do as good as these polls show, because in this poll, it's not asking what the ballot will look like. It is not asking voters, are you voting for Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson? And it's not like 38% of voters are saying, oh, neither, I'm writing in Biden's name. No, they are saying in these polls, are you writing in Biden or are you voting for Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson? That is why Biden is so high. When you actually get to the ballot and Biden is not on, it's not like voters are extremely knowledgeable about this, about this debacle in New Hampshire. They don't know that Biden won't be on the ballot, and they really won't even know to write in his name, the majority of voters. So I don't think Biden really even comes near a lot of these numbers. And I think that despite them having low poll numbers, I think that Dean Phillips and possibly Marianne Williamson have a shot, but more so Dean Phillips, since he is actually putting money, significant amount of money, and campaigning hard in New Hampshire. So Dean Phillips could actually win New Hampshire because, as I said, these polls are not very accurate. It's not like they're asking, are you voting Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson? And voters are saying, I'm writing in Biden. No, they're asking Biden, Phillips, or Williamson. When they get to the ballot, they're much less likely to write in his name. So New Hampshire is the one state, and it's the first state, so it's good for them, where one of them could actually win, Phillips or Williamson. But then again, the press is very much on Biden's side, and they wouldn't even publicize it or make they would make very, very little note if Dean Phillips somehow pulled out an upset in New Hampshire. They would not want anyone to know because they are backing Biden anyway, and that's the problem with the media. So, how much does it even matter? I don't know, because then you move on to South Carolina, the next state where delegates actually matter and the media will actually talk about it. And Biden will crush it there. Phillips will probably get 2%, Marianne maybe 3 or 4%. They'll both get crushed. Michigan, they'll get crushed. I mean, it's really over. As of now, Biden, a serious health scare would have to happen to Biden for someone like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer or J.B. Pritzker to assume the Democratic nomination at the convention. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed. As of right now, overview, Biden will be the nominee. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.